Good morning and welcome to our new series. We're going to change up the videos that we send out each week, and we're going to move towards a format where the regional vice president will interview a manager about a variety of topics that we feel are interesting to you. And so this morning we're going to focus on retention. So Mark, you joined us and we gave you an office that was failing. Sorry about that. And then we asked you to run a pilot program for our affiliates almost immediately. And then we closed and merged an office into yours. And then we gave you a second office. So having said that, what I find very unique about your office situation is while some of the offices are struggling for profit, some are behind last year, some are trying to break even with last year, you've managed to pull your environment up to 40% profit over last year. And I see that as a function of your ability to retain your agents. So with 300 agents, I feel like you have a personal relationship with each and every one of them. So having said all those things, tell me your secret sauce.
Well, you mentioned retention, and I know that we focus a lot on the 3 R's, revenue, recruiting, and retention. And each day, one of those R's rises to the top because they all work hand in hand together. Retention, for me, is the foundation for recruiting and revenue. And it's not just put it above anything else, but keeping the agents, not because I need them to, but because they feel it's the best possible place to be at. You take a look at, like in sports, you take a look at a roster and you say, can you get more out of a player? For me, looking at the roster, and I had the benefit of knowing these agents long before I took post again, it was to see that there were a lot of agents that, I hope they don't hear this, but underperforming. And me just knowing that they had a lot more into it, and with a coaching background, spending a lot of time with each of those agents, making them believe back in themselves was really important to me, because when they do well and they do better and they care more about the business, they care about the office they're in, they love the company. Liking it's not enough. You gotta love the company, you gotta love what you're doing. Their business was a byproduct of it. And so when you're growing your business, retention becomes pretty easy. And then when you're growing your business, you're then telling a story to not only the existing agents, your peers that are within your office, but agents that aren't in your office when you're co-broking another transaction. And so that helps a lot with recruiting. So for me, I have to say that as an agent, being in and out of management, the out was me being a former agent. I still think like an agent. I refer to myself as an agent, and I think that's paramount right now, to be sensitive to what the agent needs are. And the focus on retention, when my company, me as an agent, cares about me and wants me to do better, it makes me a much better ambassador. And that's what I'm trying to do, is to build 300 in this office and another 160 in the other office. I need 460 ambassadors.
Okay, so there's a famous quote by Einstein. He says that someone said that we all have the same 24 hours that Einstein had. So how did you fit this in your schedule? I mean, 300 agents, it's a lot of agents, and coaching one-on-one is certainly a dream that we all have, but there's so many hours in the day. So talk to me about how you figured that out, in addition to everything else that was going on when you first came on board.
Well, I'm often compared to Einstein, but not for his brains, but because of our hairstyles. I was raised by a Brooklyn father, and I know that we're supposed to do a lot of relationship bonding over lunches, but being raised by a Brooklyn father, one of his lines to me was, lunch is for losers. And he meant that you just got to work through when everybody else is at lunch. You can grab your peanut butter and jelly sandwich and just knock out another hour and a half worth of work. For me, I deal with 5 to 8. 5 to 8 in the morning and 5 to 8 in the evening. That's my power time. So 5 to 8 in the morning is about me. Everybody, they wake up early, we work out, we go to the gym, all that other stuff, but it's a lot of research, and it's a lot of reading, and it's a lot of me understanding what my day is going to be about, so that when 8 to 5 comes, I'm doing things for everybody else. 5 to 8 in the evening, that's happy hour time. That's where that's my field. That's where I play ball, and I work and meet and hang out and spend time with agents over bourbon's my preference, but if they want coffee or tea or milk or whatever they want, that's the time when they're available, where they're not looking at their phone, they're not in the middle of a deal. Mark, sorry, I gotta go, I gotta get to an inspection. I understand all the lunch stuff, but I can't do it. So whereas I understand why it works for everybody else, doesn't work for me. I'm looking at my phone because I got issues and they're looking at their phone. So a lot of time is spent between 5 and 8. I sacrifice that time for the agents and they all want to be a part of that. In addition to that, having a coaching background helps me out a lot because I'm known for that, and so they come to me. Our office is consistently filled, whereas I'm hearing nobody shows up to the office. Everybody does show up to our office, and so I get that one-on-one time in 15-minute increments, 30-minute increments, and it just gets done. Like I said, for the agent, they have to love, not like. Same with us. We can't just like our job. We have to find a way to love it. And that's the part that I love, having that 5 to 8 time in the morning and 5 to 8 in the evening.
Great advice. You're really big on culture, Mark. You talk a lot to me about it. How would you describe your culture, and how do you think you got to that culture? Because I find that the culture is very different now in your office.
So timely question, because I just came back from Gem Blue, a spectacular venue, and I encourage everybody to get back. We had 16 agents that went, and one of the exercises that was prompted by one of the sessions was to just arbitrarily just shoot out a text to 20, 30, some offices are smaller, so they did 3 or 5. I did 20 to 30 agents, most of them that were at Gem Blue, through a WhatsApp chat, and I asked them in a couple of sentences to please describe our culture. So I'm not going to give you my answer because it's going to be awesome, but I'm going to give you their answer. I actually sent you a screenshot because I was very proud of the responses, and the responses were overwhelming with one word, and that was collaboration. So everybody wants to talk about collaboration, but apparently we're doing it very well, because that was so consistent. They love how much that the agents within the office are willing to share with each other. And that's the family atmosphere that we built. We have a lot of events, like all offices. We do whatever meetings. I don't do a lot of business meetings. I do a lot of happy hours, but I do a lot of business within the happy hours where I kind of get it in. But I think there's so much that we do that would bore everybody out there. Collaboration is by far number one that lends to the greatest culture in the company.
Excellent, excellent. So, what would you say to a manager that was failing in one of these categories? They just, they're trying, things aren't working. What advice would you give to that person? For example, they're having a challenge in recruiting, they're having a challenge in retention, they're having a challenge in growth and revenue. What advice would you give them?
Well, to start off with 10x on what you're doing, great, because that saves your job, for sure. But recognize that you're not in it alone, and if I'm going to preach collaboration and my agents are feeling it, well, I think the company should be doing the same. So we all need to reach out to each other. I have the great fortune of working with a tremendous Southeast management team, and we talk a lot amongst each other. And instead of being envious or jealous, we're consistently asking what works and how does that, and sometimes the advice we get, I'm like, I can't do that, that doesn't work for me in my office. But then I think through it, and in my 5 to 8 morning time, I think about what some of my peers have said, and I said, I can't do that, but the messaging behind what they're trying to do is something that I can do. And so I think I have to use the word collaboration again. Don't look past your peers, because if everybody else is telling us we have the hardest job in the industry, then we need to go to those that also have the hardest job and see what they're doing well. Because there is not a one-size-fits-all scenario, and you just, no matter what, you gotta get better. You gotta get better.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this is a beneficial video for you. If you're looking for something different, feel free to reach out to me. But Mark, as always, thank you so much. I really appreciate your advice, always your counsel, and your willingness to collaborate with me as well. So thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
You owe me a drink.
Done. Bourbon.